My fiancée dropped a bomb on me. She'd invited her ex to our wedding. Her reasoning? If you loved me, you'd understand. Oh, I understood, all right. I understood enough to quietly invite his wife as my plus one. Looking back, I probably should have seen the flashing red lights months ago, but love just makes you a little stupid, doesn't it? I'm Drew, 32, and for 3 years I've been completely smitten with Jessica, 29. We'd been engaged for 8 months, and our wedding was just a month away. 150 guests, a beautiful venue, the whole 9 yards. We were planning our future. Then, last Thursday, over a perfectly normal dinner, she dropped a bombshell that nearly made me choke on my pasta. So, I invited Trevor to the wedding. Trevor, not just any ex. This was her college sweetheart, the guy she dated for 4 years, the one she almost married before they supposedly grew apart. My stomach dropped. You invited your ex to our wedding? She just smiled like this was the most natural thing in the world. Yeah, we're still friends. It would be weird not to invite him. I try to keep my voice even. Jess, that's pretty unusual. Her face hardened. The pleasant smile vanished. If you loved me, you'd understand. It shows maturity that we can all be adults about this. Adults? My blood was starting to simmer. Adults? You want your ex watching you marry me? God, you're being so insecure, she scoffed. Trevor's happily married now. His wife couldn't make it. She's visiting family overseas, but he'll be there. It's not a big deal. But something in the way she said, his wife couldn't make it, felt off. Too rehearsed. Too quick. A tiny alarm bell started ringing in my head. What's his wife's name? I asked, trying to sound completely casual. Jessica blinked. A beat too long. Rebecca. Why does it matter? Just curious, I shrugged. You've met her, haven't you? Of course, she retorted, a little too defensively. Several times. I forced a smile, playing along. You're right. I'm being silly. If Trevor's important to you, then I understand. She looked genuinely surprised, then pleased. She leaned in, kissed my cheek. See? This is why I love you. That night, my gut screamed at me. I went digging. It took me all of 5 minutes to find Trevor on social media. And there, plain as day, was his wife. Monica, not Rebecca. Her profile clearly showed she wasn't overseas. She was a dental hygienist working literally 20 minutes from our wedding venue. Interesting. Very interesting. I spent the entire weekend doing more research. That's when I found her iPad, left at my place, still logged into her messages. Look, I know it's a privacy violation. But when your fiancé invites her ex to your wedding and lies about his wife, you investigate. And what I found, it was exactly what I feared. The messages between Jessica and Trevor were friendly. Way too friendly. Full of remember when and those were the days. And then Trevor saying things like, shame it didn't work out between us, and Jessica responding with, timing is everything. Monday morning, my mind was made up. I found Monica on social media and sent her a message from my real account. It was blunt. Hi, Monica. You don't know me, but I'm marrying Jessica next month. She's invited your husband, Trevor, to our wedding. She told me you couldn't attend because you're overseas, but I see you're local. I wanted to extend a personal invitation. I'd love to have you there as my guest. The reception is at Riverside Manor on the 15th. Within an hour, she replied. Overseas? That's interesting, considering I'm sitting in my office right now. Trevor told me he had a work conference that weekend. Thank you for reaching out. I'll definitely be attending. Oh, this was going to be good. The next week was a strange, kind of tense. Jessica, completely oblivious, kept chattering about wedding details, seating arrangements, final preparations. She casually mentioned putting Trevor at table 3 with my college friends. Why table 3? I asked, already knowing the answer. Well, you won't know anyone else. It would be awkward to sit him with strangers. How about with your cousins at table 7? She frowned. No, that's too far from. Table 3 is better. She almost said, too far from the head table. The pieces were clicking into place. Meanwhile, Monica and I exchanged a few more messages. Turns out Trevor had been acting weird for months. Working late, super protective of his phone, suddenly obsessed with fitness. All the classic signs. Monica had suspected something, but she just didn't have any concrete proof. I told her about the messages I'd seen. Not the explicit details that felt wrong, but enough to confirm her suspicions. She was absolutely furious. Not at me, at them. That manipulative witch, she wrote. And my pathetic husband. They deserve each other. We hatched a plan. Monica would come as my +1 to the rehearsal dinner. Maximum impact. Minimal scene at the actual wedding, if there was even going to be one after this. 3 days before the rehearsal dinner, Jessica was going over the guest list. So, it's just family and the wedding party, right? She asked. Yeah, I confirmed. Oh, and Trevor, she added, almost as an afterthought. I invited him to the rehearsal dinner, too. I almost laughed out loud. Why? I managed to ask. He's traveling from out of state, she lied smoothly. He lived barely an hour away. So, I thought it would be nice. That's thoughtful of you, I said, completely deadpan. She smiled, completely missing the sarcasm. She had no idea what was coming. By the way, if you're still with me, still wondering how this absolute train wreck unfolds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. And trust me, I've got more unbelievable stories where this came from. The day of the rehearsal dinner arrived. I told Jessica I had to pick up a friend with car trouble. Dinner's in 2 hours. I'll be quick. They're stranded, I said. You head over, I'll meet you there. She was annoyed, but she agreed. I picked up Monica. She looked absolutely fantastic. An elegant black dress, perfect makeup. She wasn't just dressed for dinner. She was dressed for war. You ready for this? I asked, watching her. 3 years of marriage, and he's been sneaking around with his ex. Her eyes were cold steel. Oh, I'm ready. We walked into the restaurant 40 minutes after everyone else. I went in first, Monica just a few steps behind me. The private dining room was packed with about 30 people. Our closest family, the wedding party. And there, sitting right next to Jessica at the main table, was Trevor. Jessica stood up, a bright, relieved smile on her face. There you are. We were getting worried. Then she saw Monica. Her smile evaporated. Her eyes widened. She froze. The entire room went silent. And Trevor? Trevor's face went white. Like, genuinely alarmingly white. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Hi, honey, Monica said, her voice dripping with the sweetest sarcasm I'd ever heard. Surprise. My trip got canceled. Jessica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Monica, I thought you were overseas. Yeah, that's what Trevor told me about his work conference this weekend, too. Monica replied, her gaze fixed on her husband. Imagine my surprise when Drew here reached out to personally invite me. I stepped forward, taking the spotlight. Everyone, this is Monica, Trevor's wife. She'll be joining us tonight as my guest. Since Jessica was so insistent on including Trevor in our wedding celebrations, I figured the more the merrier. My mom, bless her heart, is an absolute legend. She understood immediately. Monica, how lovely to meet you. Come sit by me. The rehearsal dinner was absolutely nuclear. Monica sat directly across from Trevor, and Jessica nestled between my mom and my sister. The tension in that room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Jessica kept trying to act normal, but her voice was shaky, wavering. So, Monica, Jessica attempted, forcing a smile. How long have you and Trevor been married? 3 years, Monica replied, taking a slow, deliberate sip of her wine. Though, apparently, I should be asking you how long you've been texting my husband. Silverware clinked. Someone coughed. Trevor looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. We're just friends, Jessica insisted, her voice barely a whisper. Monica pulled out her phone. Friends don't text at midnight. Friends don't send shirtless gym selfies. Should I read some of these out loud for everyone? Trevor finally spoke, his voice cracking. Monica, please. Not here. Monica laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. Not here. Where then, Trevor? At your fake work conference? Or maybe during one of your client dinners that Jessica somehow always knew about. My groomsman, Kyle, whispered, holy hell, loud enough for everyone to hear. Jessica turned to me, tears welling up in her eyes. Drew, this is a misunderstanding. Is it though? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Is that why you lied about Monica being overseas? Why you put Trevor at table 3, practically at our head table? Why you invited him to the rehearsal dinner? You set me up, she practically screamed. No, Jess, I corrected her, my voice steel. You set yourself up. I just invited his wife to the party you planned. Jessica's dad, red-faced, stood up. What the hell is going on here? Monica answered for me. Your daughter's been having an emotional affair with my husband. Maybe physical, I don't know yet, but she invited him to her wedding while explicitly making sure I wouldn't be here. That's not true. Jessica shrieked. Really? I pulled out my phone, mirroring Monica. Should I show everyone the messages? The ones where Trevor says, "Can't wait to see you in your dress." And you respond, "It's bad luck for the groom to see it, but not for you." Jessica's mom gasped. Her dad's face turned a deep, alarming shade of purple. Trevor finally stood up. We're leaving. Monica scoffed, a genuine laugh this time. No, honey, you can leave. I'm enjoying my dinner. She turned to my mom, who just smiled at her warmly. This salmon is excellent. My mom, absolute legend that she is, raised her glass. To honesty in relationships. Half the room drank. The other half sat in stunned, uncomfortable silence. After Trevor slunk out like a whipped dog, Jessica went into full meltdown mode. Not sad crying. This was angry, entitled rage. How dare you humiliate me like this? She shrieked. How dare I? I shot back, utterly incredulous. You invited your ex to our wedding. It wasn't like that. We're just friends who happen to have history, she insisted. Monica, still calmly enjoying her salmon, laughed bitterly. History that was actively repeating itself. Jessica's dad, his face still crimson, finally spoke. Jessica, is this true? Have you been inappropriate with this man? Dad, Drew is blowing this out of proportion. He violated my privacy, went through my messages, she whined. Because you lied about his wife? I interjected. You said her name was Rebecca. Even her brother, Jake, just shook his head in disbelief. Jess, what the hell? Finally, Jessica's mask completely crumbled. You know what? Fine. Yes, Trevor and I have been talking. Yes, I wanted him at the wedding. He was the one who got away, okay? I needed to see if I was making the right choice. The room absolutely erupted. Her mom started crying. Her dad stood up so fast his chair fell over. At your wedding? He roared. You were going to decide at your wedding. I actually laughed. A real, genuine laugh. Well, I said, pulling an envelope from my jacket, that makes this a whole lot easier. I placed it on the table. Consider this my wedding gift. It was the invoice for all the deposits I'd paid. Venue, catering, flowers, band, $18,000 total. What's this? Jessica asked, confused. Your dad can explain, I said, looking at him. Since he insisted on doing things traditionally, where the bride's family plans the wedding, but the groom pays for it. I paused, letting it sink in. Well, the wedding's off. These are all non-refundable deposits in my name. If you want to use them for your next wedding, maybe to Trevor after his divorce, your family can reimburse me. Her dad's face went from purple to pure white. You paid all the deposits? Every penny. Jessica wanted the expensive packages. I replied, a small, cold smile on my face. I have the receipts. Monica, rising with an air of absolute triumph, added, speaking of receipts, Trevor, expect to hear from my divorce attorney Monday. I'll be taking half of everything, including your precious boat. She turned to Jessica. You can have him when I'm done. Good luck with a cheater who lives with his mother after I take the house. Jessica started ugly crying. Not dainty tears, but full, snotty, pathetic sobbing. Drew, please. We can work this out. I choose you. I choose you. How generous, I said, my voice dripping with scorn. After you got caught, you choose me. Her sister, Emma, who had been quietly observing the whole debacle, finally spoke up. Jess, you're a complete idiot. You had a good man, and you threw it away for what? Some guy who cheats on his wife. Emma, her mom scolded. No, Mom. Emma shot back. I'm tired of everyone babying her. She's almost 30 and acting like a teenager. The dinner ended with Jessica's family in a furious argument, Monica exchanging numbers with my sister. They actually hit it off, and me walking out feeling lighter than I had in months. An hour later, I got a text from Jessica. You ruined my life. I responded, without a shred of guilt. No, you ruined your own life. I just refused to be collateral damage. The next 3 days were pure insanity. Jessica first tried the love bombing approach. She showed up at my apartment with flowers. The irony wasn't lost on me, wearing the lingerie I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. Manipulative, crying about how sorry she was. Please, Drew. I'll cut Trevor off completely. I'll block him right now. Jess, I said, my voice firm. You were using our wedding as a test run for your feelings. That's beyond repair. It wasn't like that. I was just confused, she insisted. Confused? I stared her down. You lied about his wife's name. That's not confusion. That's deception. She tried to push past me into the apartment. We need to talk about this properly. No, we don't, I said, blocking her. Please leave before I call security. You can't just throw away 3 years, she cried. I didn't, I countered. You did. The moment you invited him. When that didn't work, she went nuclear on social media. She posted this sob story about how I was controlling, jealous, and how I'd ruined her wedding over an innocent friendship. She tagged all our mutual friends. Big mistake. Monica, who had become my most unexpected and brilliant ally, commented, Innocent friendship? Is that why you told him I was overseas while planning to seat him near your wedding table? Then she posted screenshots. Not all of them, just enough to devastate. Trevor saying, remember that weekend in wine country? And Jessica responding, best 48 hours ever. A weekend that happened 2 months ago when she was supposedly at a work retreat. Jessica's carefully crafted victim narrative crumbled in real time. Her mom, Linda, called me absolutely mortified. Drew, the family is humiliated. Couldn't you have handled this privately? Linda, I sighed, I tried. Jessica made it public when she invited Trevor to the wedding. But to ambush her like that, she protested. Like she ambushed me with her ex at our wedding. I asked pointedly. At least I gave her the courtesy of doing it at the rehearsal, not the actual ceremony. There was silence on the other end. And the deposits are non-refundable and in my name. $18,000. That's extortion, she stammered. No, Linda, I said. That's consequences. If Jessica wants to explain to 150 guests why the wedding is off, that's her choice. Next came the flying monkeys. Her friends started texting and calling me. The narratives varied. She made a mistake, but she loves you. Monica is probably lying about some of it. All couples have issues. The wedding is in 3 weeks. Think of the guests. To each, I sent the same response. She invited her ex she's been emotionally cheating with to our wedding and lied about his wife. Would you marry someone who did that? Most stopped responding after that. 2 weeks before the would-be wedding date, Jessica's dad called again. Drew, I need those vendor contacts. Why? I asked. A heavy sigh. Jessica wants to cancel everything formally. Well, we'll reimburse you for the deposits. All $18,000. Yes, I said. Send me the itemized list. I did. Within 48 hours, I had a check. I guess they really wanted to minimize the embarrassment. Meanwhile, Monica's divorce was proceeding at light speed. Turns out Trevor had been incredibly sloppy. She found credit card charges for hotels when he was supposedly working late, dinner receipts for 2 when he claimed to be alone, and best of all, a second phone hidden in his car. That second phone had everything. Pictures, texts, even a draft email where he was planning to object at our wedding. Yeah, you read that right. He was going to stand up when the officiant asked if anyone had reasons why we shouldn't marry. Monica, ever the helpful ally, sent me screenshots. Thought you should see what you avoided, she wrote. Trevor's message to Jessica. If you give me the signal during the ceremony, I'll stand up. We can run away together. Jessica's response. That's so romantic, but let me see how I feel in the moment. She was literally going to decide at the altar whether to marry me or run off with Trevor. I sent this final exchange to Jessica with one message. You're a sociopath. Her response was a novel-length text about how I didn't understand true love, how Trevor was her soulmate, how I was too boring and safe, how she settled for me because I was stable. I forwarded it straight to her dad. His 2-word response, Jesus Christ. The day that would have been our wedding, I went golfing with my groomsmen. We had a blast. That evening, we hit up an expensive steakhouse, the one Jessica always said was too much for no reason. Halfway through dinner, Kyle, one of my groomsmen, showed me his phone. Dude, you need to see this. Jessica had worn her wedding dress. She'd gone to the venue, alone, and posted photos on Instagram with captions like, "The wedding that should have been," and "True love means forgiveness." The comments section was brutal. "Girl, this is unhinged. Didn't you cheat on him? This is embarrassing. Take this down. Therapy now." Even her own sister commented, "Jess, stop. You're humiliating yourself." But the real kicker came from Monica. Her comment was short and devastating. "Same dress you were going to wear while deciding between your fiancé and my husband." Classy. By the next morning, Jessica had deleted everything and made her accounts private. 3 months later, here's where everyone ended up. Jessica is living with her parents, working the same job, and posting cryptic quotes about surviving narcissistic abuse that get exactly 0 engagement. Trevor ghosted her completely after Monica took him to the cleaners in the divorce. Trevor lost the house, half his 401k, and is paying alimony while living in a studio apartment. Monica even sent me a photo of her with the boat keys, captioned, "Thanks for the wake-up call." Monica is absolutely thriving. She got promoted, bought Trevor's share of the house, and started dating a doctor from her gym. We still text occasionally, a weird friendship, but it works. Me? I took a 2-month trip to Europe with the money from those deposits. I wasn't looking for anything, but I met someone incredible at a cooking class in Italy. Anna is amazing. She laughed until she cried when I told her this story on our 3rd date. Jessica's dad still sends me Christmas cards. In the last one, he wrote, "Thank you for showing us who she really was before more damage was done." Her mom unfriended me on social media, but occasionally likes my photos from her craft business account. I almost forgot I could see that. Linda. Last week, I got one final text from Jessica. "I heard you're dating someone. I hope you're happy." I didn't respond. But yeah, I'm happy. Happy I trusted my gut. Happy I call Monica. Happy I didn't marry someone who'd use our wedding as a relationship test drive. The moral of the story? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when they invite their ex to your wedding, don't hesitate. Invite their spouse. The truth, as they say, has a funny way of coming out at dinner parties. To everyone who's asked if I regret the public confrontation, absolutely not. Jessica created that situation. I just made sure all the players were present for the grand finale. The rehearsal dinner venue still has a photo of that night on their security office wall, labeled "The Dinner from Hell." The manager told me they use it for training on how to handle dramatic situations. At least we're memorable. And for those wondering about Monica and me, yes, we're still friends. No, nothing romantic ever happened or will happen. She's like the older sister I never had, who just happens to have an incredible taste for revenge. Anna thinks the whole story is hilarious, and she and Monica have actually become friends too. We all had brunch last month. Trevor, wouldn't you know it, drove by the restaurant. Monica waved at him with her engagement ring from her new fiancé. His face was absolutely priceless. Honestly, Jessica literally planned to have her ex at our wedding to decide if she even wanted to marry me. That level of disrespect? It deserved a public response. So what do you think? If you were in my shoes, how would you have handled finding out your fiancé was planning to use your wedding as a test run? Let me know in the comments below.